Hello out there in the realms of the living. Welcome to Thrones of Game, the Game of Thrones podcast that watches the series backwards. If you've never heard this... Fuck, why do I always get this wrong? If you've never heard the show before, well, let me explain there, friend. My name is BT Calloway. I've already seen the entire show, and joining me is Elliot Jay O'Neill, who had never seen a single episode of Game of Thrones until we started watching in reverse order. Elliot, how are you?
I am wowed.
Wowed. That's a good way to be. All right. Well, we just watched Season 4, Episode 9, entitled The Watchers on the Wall. Was this the reason you were wowed? Elliot, what just happened?
Oh, man. Is this how Game of Thrones do a bottle episode?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I was really impressed with this one. Like, I got to admit, like, I don't think it'll end up being one of my favorite episodes, but I really appreciate what they went for here by telling a single story. And I got to say, in contrast to the rest of the episodes I've seen, it was just a really refreshing change of pace, and I don't think they at all failed at that.
Yeah. For those of you playing at home, this is the one where the wildlings finally attack the wall, and that's it. So unlike a lot of episodes of Game of Thrones, which jumps between, 40 different characters and 10 different settings, it was just Castle Black and the wall and the wildlings, and that's it. And yeah, very refreshing to have that absolute focus on the one part. So, yeah.
Yeah, and again, really makes The Longest Night so much worse in contrast, because they're essentially going for the same thing, but
it is literally the same thing.
Yeah.
It's fighting in cold and dark and wind, and yet we could see what was going on.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to oversell it, because I think this episode is like a solid 8 or 9 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it worked with the elements of night and snow and fire really well and beautifully.
Yeah, there are bits where there's just flaming barrels there, and I don't know why they're there, but it works because it lights up the area, it gives you a dynamic of the orange against the greys and blues, and I can see what's going on. There's a great little bit early on where they do this kind of overhead shot pan from the small raiding party that's going to attack the Castle Black from the south. They pan over Castle Black, over the wall, and then over to the majority forces in the north. And it's like, I understand the geography of this scene now. Thank you very much.
Yeah. The camera movements in this episode, I'm going to be gushing over those.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that. But first, we must ask our first question, which is our second question, because I got the listing wrong. What is your MVP for this episode?
Man, Jon Snow is normally just such a beige character in my eyes.
Yeah.
And even though, he's the best swordsman and everyone loves him and all that shit, he is still just kind of a blank slate of a character. Just all I really get ever from him is, he's awesome. But I thought him and Samwise were doing a lot of heavy lifting, so it's got to be a split MVP between those two. They have to share it.
Yeah, because I'm going to give it to Samwise, or Sam from another series, because he just kills this entire episode. But no, I think you're right. The opening where they're standing on the wall and they're all just kind of preparing for it, and it's just Sam so what was she like, And he's all like, oh, well, she had red hair. It's like, oh, well, what size were her feet? Is that what you think I'm fucking saying? It was but there's this great little back and forth of, so I know you had the sex.
Yeah.
Well, what was that like? Because, he's even got a thing about, we're all going to die. Maybe this is you might be my only avenue into what this was like.
Yeah.
And it's a really... I like the humanization of that moment because, even though these are bold warriors standing on the premises of battle, they've also, until recently, Jon was a virgin and we know Sam definitely is.
Yeah, so that puts an extra wrinkle into the sex scene that we saw with Samwise, is that recontextualize that. He lost his virginity in that moment.
Yeah, exactly. So that's when he's, ooh.
Oh, that's what ladies are like.
Oh, rather pleasant, quite frankly. Pip, pip.
But yeah, humanizing is right, and especially with Jon, trying to find the words. It's two people, and you're becoming one. And for one moment, I'm not a bleeding poet. Yeah,
it's like, yeah, no shit. There's so many good Sam lines in this one. Even a good one where it's they're having that discussion on the wall, and he's like, we're all going to die much sooner than I thought. So maybe you could make with the details.
No, it's just the way they wove in together in this story was really nice, and especially, bookending it. So we started out with a little bit of lighthearted humanization at the start before all the fucking heaviness, and then at the end, they're both just fucking battle drained. Poor Samwise looks like he's gonna collapse.
Yeah, and that fatigue really sells through.
Yeah, and so extending the humanization of their function in the story, that ending as well is... There was a lot of mirroring of what Gilly was asking of Sam as well. Please don't die. But whereas Samwise had a much more reasonable request of, come back.
Yeah, pretty much. And I do like I got a bit of a chuckle out of the please promise you won't die is very kind of Team America moment.
If you promise that, I'll make love to you right now. I promise I will never die.
Yeah, but I mean, coming up to that opening scene, it was very Westeros High. It was very, humanizing. And I do like this kind of through line where Sam is trying to help out this one guy who's really nervous and his hands are shaking when he's trying to load the arrows into the tar. And, even when the guy gets an arrow through the neck and he's clearly like seconds from death, Sam's like, oh no, the maester's coming. You're going to be all right, just trying to comfort him. And it's, really human and even then, so it got some great back and forth where the guy shoots a wildling. He's like, I got one. He's like, oh good, is it over? No? Well then keep firing!
No, it was. It's nice seeing Samwise being able to lead a bit, and it's what I really appreciated about the story of this episode, because, Game of Thrones, it's an ensemble show. If you usually got to be used to, 7 spinning plates at the one time.
Yeah.
And to see them do an hour on one story was really it was just nice.
Yeah, very refreshing break of pace to slow down while also not slowing down, because a lot happens. It's a long battle sequence, but it never felt like, and this battle is still going, blah, blah, blah. Because you had all those humanizing moments at the beginning, and then it all ramps up, and all this crazy shit happens, then it kind of slows down a little bit, and then it ends, and it bookends.
Well, yeah, it's just got a solid story running all through it. And again, let's shit on the Longest Night a little bit more. That had all the elements of having interesting stories and all people's tales all coming together to interweave throughout this epic battle sequence. And to see them do it with so much less here it speaks volumes about this episode and not many volumes about the other one.
Oh yeah, but they have so much in common. They're both a single solitary castle that's standing against a much larger army of thousands and thousands against, hundreds. And I think that it's a completely apt comparison to put the two together and say this is how it's done. This is where it's fun and interesting and actually can tell what's going on. Yeah,
and again, for when I'm meeting a few new characters for the first time, and I will give a honourable mention MVP to Aloy. From Horizon Zero Dawn, who's in Game of Thrones, apparently. I didn't know
Ingrid for everyone playing at home, but Aloy is pretty damn accurate.
Like, she had a bow and everything. Like, come on. I don't know what came first, but still.
This came first, yeah.
All right.
Most definitely. Because this is 2014 or something?
Oh, right. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. She had a great little moment. Had this whole speech about wanting to kill Jon Snow, and we'll get a little bit more back shadow on that as we go on. But just standing up to this guy who's like a head and shoulder taller than her as well is very cool.
Yeah, and not wavering at all, and just throwing the fucking sexual harassment right back in. It's like, oh, you would like a bit of this, wouldn't you?
Yeah, she's great. And like I said, she and Kit Harington are married in real life now.
Oh, she's the Mrs.
Ingrid.
Kit.
Yes.
There we go.
So that's romantic, I guess. And we get her catchphrase when she's dying, "You know nothing, Jon Snow."
Ah.
So that's my little meme moment in this one. I'm going to skip ahead to nudity. There was none. The rest of it is going to be talking about violence and fighting.
Yep.
So let's get on with that. Yeah. Wait. There might be a little bit of, not nudity, but discussions where Tormund is telling this story about he might have fucked a bear.
Yeah.
And then Ingrid's like, you didn't fuck a bear. We know you didn't fuck a bear. It's like, why is he trying to convince you that he did? That's a weird thing to do.
Fucking wildlings, man. Apparently.
I guess. Man, Tormund, what's your deal? Yes, and I'm just looking through my notes trying to figure out where to go next. Because again, it's all the same thing, but they're all interesting little bits and pieces. How about the giant's arrow that just pegs a guy into the sky? That was amazing. And then he just falls down.
Ridiculous.
In the middle of the castle black battle below him. Like, fun.
Yeah. And because a lot of the violence that I've seen so far, it's a lot of slicing and dicing. And it's almost like that is in spades in this episode. But there are so many interesting violent scenes and like ways that they've utilized the different weapons, like with bald sexual harassment guy with his axe, and like they use that in some really creative, interesting ways.
Yeah, no, because it's got the reach that Jon doesn't have with Longclaw, even though it's a long sword, and so he's got to kind of change up his usual fight dynamics, and that whole fight was pretty insane where, they both lose their weapons, and Baldy's sexual harassment just rams his face into an anvil, and then Jon's bleeding, so he spits the blood in his face, and then picks up a hammer and just clonks him, and it's like, ooh, jeez.
Yeah, normally in cartoons, the anvil gets dropped on someone. It's like nice to see them still, there's still room to grow in anvil-based violence.
I know, it's like, wow. Anvils. Just keep on giving all these years later.
The fuck were they actually meant to be used for?
They're like smithing.
Eh?
They're a hard surface for which to hammer on when you're like blacksmithing things.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
And so that kind of pointy end is like a curve. That's where you curve like horseshoes around and stuff when you're hammering them.
Oh, okay.
Yes, anvils. They're useful, but yeah, they're very cartoon based now, and
Yeah.
that's what it is in my brain entirely. Really, you never went to like, I don't know, like a ye olde town and saw someone using an anvil for realsies?
Oh, probably, but I probably had my head in the Game Boy that I brought along because I can't stand not having technology.
just history. It's a terrible place to live, actually. But no, there was a good little 9 somewhere. And let me see.
And just, ending the scene with fucking Jon Snow just absolutely braining him with a hammer.
Yep, hammer time again. Yeah.
Always got to stop for hammer time.
Oh, he does, actually. Every kind of stops like, ooh. Yeah. But getting back to the beginning, where we have this kind of humanization moment, is a bit where Sam for another series has just stopped in the middle of everything to go, not in the middle of the fight, obviously, the pre-fight, to go down and kind of study in the library about, because he's lost Gilly at this point and he's worried about what's going to happen to her. And he has this great little back and forth with Eggman, a.k.a. Armin Targaryen.
Armin Tanzarian.
Yeah.
Principal Skinner.
I nearly did that as well. Yeah, who's the maester there, who's blind and has this whole little good back and forth. And, he's like, I was young once. Sam's like, really? It's like, so you've seen all the things you've seen. You've seen White Walkers and giants, yet you can't imagine me as a young man. He's like, yeah, no, fair.
Yeah.
But it's got a good line of, nothing makes the past as sweet a place to visit as the imminent threat of death. And it's such a good, like, downer moment. They have this whole intimate back and forth about being in love and yada yada and youth and life. And he's like, yes, we're all probably going to die. Yeah.
And I love the acting on it as well, because it feels like it's leading into a greater story, and then he just stops it dead, and it's just like, go the fuck to bed. Go to bed, Jessica.
Pretty much. He's like, I could tell you the color of her eyes and the shape of her nose and all these things, but piss off.
So he had a little of his own Twilight Zone moment as well, where he's like, I know this library better than anywhere, but I'm old and I'm blind and there's books everywhere. Fuck me, I guess.
Age is ironic. Wop, wop, wop.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Yep, there was time. There was finally time. Yes, we get a bit of one of the bald dudes wagging, which is the first time you've seen someone other than Bran do that, into the owl to be like their eyes.
Yeah.
Did you kind of pick that up? Or?
Yeah, so he gets to do owls and Bran got crows.
Well, I mean, in theory, Bran can do like any animal.
Oh, right, okay.
But he just happens to do crows because it's on Bran. Yeah. Got there. Lame. And we see that, both the guy who eventually orchestrates the death of Jon Snow and his little helper who gets decapitated later, all their kind of shenanigans during all this. And Bald Guy is a great little straw man argument because, as George R. R. Martin has kind of admitted, the White Walkers are a bit of a climate change allegory.
Oh, right.
And so this is, there's literally, they're on the wall and the guy, Baldy, is all like, oh, they're never going to make it through those walls. They're a quarter inch, thank God. And he's like, there are, giants riding mammoths down there. He's like, giants aren't real. He's like, you can see them. It's just a very tall person.
Yeah. Oh, God. The denial going on in fucking Baldy pee pants over there. Oh,
yeah.
Jesus.
But again, well played. I completely believed his cowardice and non-belief. So, no, it's fine. We don't need to attack. They'll just won't be able to get through the walls. And we'll all be dandy. We'll all drink lemonade.
Yeah. It's interesting that Curly Joe did put him in charge, but yeah, it does help beef up the story and makes Jon Snow's taking over the wall. And oh man, I really loved the game. Oh, they really need you downstairs.
Yeah. Ooh, definitely need you downstairs. Ooh, yeah.
Big important mission that only Baldy Pee Pants could do.
Yeah, they need someone bald downstairs. I guess that would be you. You've got the most experience. Anyway, off you go. Don't forget to pee your pants.
And then just a big old wink to Jon Snow. Hey, got your back, bro.
Nice. Now let's defend this wall. There was a little brief kitchen fight, which I didn't know if was supposed to be just guys who work in the kitchen or if they were meant to also be warriors who just happen to be in the kitchen. But, they throw boiling water on a dude and kill someone with a giant cleaver, and it was fun.
Oh, man, when he's carrying the cleaver on his shoulder and it's like, it's going to be good. When are they going to use it? Oh, immediately slice.
Yeah, so, I don't just cleave meat, but men are made of meat, but also, I'll think of a good line later. Stab.
But it's all these moments that really help this episode continue to stay interesting, because I was also comparing it a lot to Battle of the Bastards, which I think is the only other time we've really had a big extended scene like that. But still, that was half an episode.
Yeah. But I know what you mean. There's like these little smaller segments within the larger one that lets you get just a sense of something else happening. It's not mind-numbing by having just the same thing over and over.
Yeah. And especially with Samwise, in that scene where he's, loading the crossbows for the guy who's, keeps being scared and just, I've only used a training sword before. Yep. And then before when he's like, come on, Ollie, you got to do your part too. And about Ollie as well, was there a bit of tension that I missed between him and Snow from then on? Yeah.
There's a lot of back and forths where he kind of takes him under his wing, but then he lets all the free folk in, and Ollie's like, they killed all my family. I'm sad. Wow. And then, so there's tension back and forth there, and then he hangs him. Yeah.
Well, like, I always noticed that tension, but, like, having this underlying tension of him killing his girlfriend, I guess.
Effectively, yeah. I mean, to be fair, Ollie didn't know.
Yeah.
Ingrid was pointing an arrow at him. She was obviously hesitating with emotions.
But yeah, just the way that Ollie looked is just such a weird, like, fucking big smile and thumbs up in this horrifying scene. It's just...
Got your back, bro. I'm Ollie. Ching.
I did good.
Yep. Killed her in one. That's what you'll thank me later, mate. Don't worry.
Yeah. I just thought it was interesting that it never directly came up again, and it'd be... worth a rewatch for me to sort of reframe some of their scenes together with that knowledge in mind.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there wasn't really much John could do. He'd be like, you killed someone you were kind of supposed to because she was going to murder me, but maybe not. But also you didn't know that, and also you're like 9.
Yep. No, fair enough.
Yep. Okay, one main thing I do want to call a lot of attention to is there's this great tracking shot that kind of just pans around the entire Castle Black at one point. And I don't know if they actually did this in one continuous shot or if it's just spliced together very cleverly, but you get a sense of where every major character is and all these other random little bits and pieces of murder happening around you, and it looks fantastic. And it gives you a sense of just the chaos of it, but with absolute clarity. We've talked before about a lot of battle scenes really cutting quickly together and the kind of being confused as to what's going on as being a metaphor for the chaos of it, whereas this is almost the exact opposite of that.
Yeah.
You can see everything that's going on with absolute clarity, but the fact that you're literally put dead center of it all makes it feel all the more chaotic. It's like all these parts are happening at once, and obviously as a show they can only show you one bit at a time, but it's just the idea that everything is happening concurrently.
Yeah, the way that the camera moves and swings here, like you said, there might be some crafty editing where they've done some like quicker movements and done like hid some cuts with some blurs or something. Yeah. But for my money, that did look like one continuous shot that was, right at the height of the tension. And I was just thinking the way that this episode is really well edited as well. And another feather in the cap of like, it's just... all the scenes are interesting unto themselves.
Yeah.
And they've all got something different going on. And, like, how many ways can you shoot a battle? This episode's got a few ideas for you.
For sure. Yeah, I think it's usually the mark of a good product where if you really need to pee at the beginning and you're waiting for that scene where you can walk away, this one probably has a couple, but not many. Like, there's maybe one bit where they send 6 dudes down to the main tunnel to protect the gate, and one of them is freaking out a bunch, and they just start reciting the Night's Watch pledge, and it's a little cheesy, but it works.
Yeah.
But that's maybe the weakest part of this episode. And even then, it's not, A, not long, and B, not bad. It's just a little cheesy.
Yeah. But, I mean, it was dumb. It's like, well, back up, cunts. You're clearly going to get smashed by the wood when Mr. Giant busts through. But, so, like, what happened with the Giant there? Did he just, like, fuck him up and then retreat?
Well, it's not really clear. They do that kind of, he collides with the gate and then they cut, and then we find out later that, they all died.
Yeah.
Presumably, I guess the Giant didn't knock it down, because the way the gate's ripped open, he clearly didn't break it down to that one charge.
Oh, right.
So he was standing there trying to rip it open, and they were probably just stabbing him through as best they could, and then they all died, I guess.
Oh, cool.
That's my assumption from it, just from the way their bodies are kind of arranged. We only kind of briefly get it. But it feels like that feels satisfactory to me.
Yeah. I didn't not like it, but it did kind of feel like a bit left out because assuming that was his daddy Giant and also the Mastodon. We get another guest appearance from Mastodon in this episode. Having them die, it felt like he didn't get his redemption for that. And especially given the events later on. I feel bad for Giant Dude.
Yeah, Giants have it rough in this show, but they're still awesome. They get to ride mammoths. It's dope.
Yeah, it was nice because, I've called him Sweetums because he kind of resembles that big Muppet, Sweetums. Yeah, it was nice to see Sweetums riding Snuffleupagus.
Into battle! As things should be. Man, I had another
Can you tell me how to get...
Anyway. How to get to Sesame Street? Yeah, I'm on board.
You go beyond the wall.
There are a couple of rousing speeches in this, but the current leader of the Night's Watch, whatever his name is, I don't know that guy.
Oh, Curly Joe?
Yeah, Curly Joe. Didn't like his speech, but I feel like that was intentional. He's all like, it stood and we're not going to fall tonight. Are you with me, men? Men, are you with me? And it's like, yeah, pretty much.
I really liked his acting in this, and I appreciated the speech. You know, a leader, you've got every little cunt second guessing you, but the second your leader second guesses himself, so you're fucked. And so that really fed his confidence later on, and especially when that one dude fucked up by having the barrel drop, and he's like, did I say drop the barrel? No, I said hold. Yeah. Are you going to hold? Are we together? All right, that's good to know. Like, it was such a weird way to end that big rousing speech. All right, I am pleased to have that information.
Excellent. All right, moving on.
Anyway, I really enjoyed him commanding the scenes and all of his fighting. I thought, Curly Joe, whatever your name is in real life or in this show, well done.
Does a good job. And I do agree with his whole, being a leader means you can't second guess yourself because everyone else is going to, and you have to lead by, pressing forward. And it's a good bit. And it explains his character for the rest of it, who, decides to betray Jon Snow, and he stands by that, even though it clearly didn't work out. Yeah.
But while we're here as well, talking about some of the wall defenses, I loved that they're doing a throwback to Donkey Kong in this moment.
Which bit? Barrels?
Yep.
Exploding barrels?
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, anyway. The wildlings should have jumped, man.
Yeah, it's true. Especially when that massive, anchor scythe just goes across the wall.
The goddamn scythe. He goes and, drop the scythe, and I'm like, the scythe?
Yeah, what's this? Oh, the scythe.
It just fucking sprays body all over the wall.
Yeah, what I like about this is it's completely impractical but thoroughly awesome. Yes. It gets maybe 6 dudes, and it's like, that's a massive anchor. It would have taken so long to set that up. It's been frozen into the wall, so you would have had to just waited patiently for the one day you get to use it.
Yeah, it's not really the great one-hit, ultimate destruction weapon that you've been saving up for the final bit of the boss fight where you've only got a little bit of health left and it's your only way out. No, this will clear as many dudes as arrows did.
And I do quite like the bit where they've kind of got some guys tethered to the wall who are kind of leaning over, shooting down. That was that makes a lot of sense. This would be how you would do this. It would be because that would give you the absolute advantage against all the guys trying to climb up.
Yeah, a creative use of that probably existed, and then also led to more creative ways for people to die. It's just,
I think if you're sitting down to make an episode like this, you're like, okay, what are some creative ways for people to die?
Yeah, we have a big wall. People are defending it. What you got?
Yeah, someone's like leaning over shooting arrows. I like it. What about a real big scythe? That's dumb, but I love it.
How would it work? Well, like a windscreen wiper.
Yep.
In.
Put that in the episode.
More violence, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's all we got on this one. And I actually got a little bit of emotions where, what do we got here? Oh, yeah, there's a great bit where Gilly makes her way to the Castle Black entrance, and Sam just she's met the guy at the door who's like, no, you can't come in, you're a woman. And Sam runs on, he's just like, open the fucking gate.
You never swear. Well, get used to it. I'm a tough man now.
I know, and he brings her in, and he kind of holds her, and he's like, from now on, where you go, I go too. And then they walk off together, and the guy who was manning the door kind of gives Sam this look of, now there goes a man. It was beautiful.
I need to ask him later what it's like.
No, that's how you manhood. Nice.
Was Jon Snow frustrated when Samwise pointed out the particulars of the wording of, we must not have wives, we must not bear children?
I really like this. It was like, well, technically, there's nothing in our vows that says we can't do that sort of thing with ladies. It says, I shall take no father no children, and I shall take no wife, but technically it doesn't say you can't do things. They're like, you probably... Yeah, you'd think Jon would be a little more into it, given that he'd broken that vow, if he was the one taking it so seriously.
He'd be... if I was him, I'd just be like...
Dudes, go tell everyone. They'll fight so hard if they know they can get laid afterwards.
Yeah. No, that was, I enjoyed their back and forth so much.
Yeah.
The only other note I've got about this episode is the music. I really liked the rousing, real bottom end horns that were happening as the wildlings were charging.
Yeah.
It just had this really eeriness to it, but it was also, I loved the over the top, kind of movie trailerness of it as well. Like, there's just a
For sure.
and at the end, like, they had like a little bit of a reprise of that, but it felt like a bit of the For Whom the Bell Tolls riff, you know,
Yeah.
like it was sort of using that low end chromaticism, just forewarning. Oh my god, it was glorious.
Yeah, and that works well for the White Walkers as well, because, you know, war horns, and they're all about crafting things out of, you know, the things they kill. So they would have war horns and battle cries and stuff like that. Makes sense, and it fits. It's real good. I'm just having a quick look to see if I've got any other notes. Yeah, like the bit at the end where John's like, I'm going to go out and find Mount's Raid and try to talk to him, and then maybe try and kill him, and he'll kill me too. And Sam's like, well, that's a bit stupid. How about you don't do that? He's like, I know it's a bad plan. What's your plan? Like,
yeah,
fair.
But it is still like such an easy argument to use. I'm going to go put my penis in a wood chipper, and then I'm going to eat some raw chicken as well. That's a bad plan. What's your plan?
Not doing those things.
Yeah, it's not the get out of jail free card. I think he thinks it is.
Yeah, true. It's still when the best alternative plan is to just not do that.
Yeah,
you're kind of at a stalemate at the very least. But yeah, I think that puts me out of notes, other than just one that just says I stab.
Oh my god!
I looked down to make a note and looked up. This guy's getting shanked in the eye, and it's like of all the violence up until that point had been kind of at range and largely bloodless. Like, people get hit by arrows, they fall down, and then it's just all this welling blood as this dude gets shanked in the eye.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, there's so many notes that in any other episode I'd pull focus on, but because there is a lot of violence, it is sort of hard to remember all the more, you know, memorable scenes, because there is just so much of it. But in that as well, I don't think it ever wavered. I don't think it ever got boring. This was such a fun watch.
For sure. Yes, that puts me out of notes. How about you?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, well then we must ask our final question. How did we get here?
Oh, well, a little birdie told me before it got eaten by a snake that the next episode will be called The Mountain of the Viper.
Ooh, I know what happens in this one.
So, yeah, we're going back to the Sand Vipers and, yeah, meeting up with those sassy women.
Yes, well, those of you out there who knows what Mountain and Viper means, look forward to that one. But until then...
Wait, was it the Mountain of the... Oh, the Mountain and the Viper. Sorry, excuse me.
That's right, that's right. But until then, that's been Elliot Jay O'Neill.
Goodbye.
And I've been BT Calloway, and for now, our watch has ended.